Thanks. So we'll start the April 2023 Barrier Busters meeting. Thanks everybody for attending. Thank you, Stacy, for starting to record. Just so you know, we'll have a slightly shorter meeting today. Frequently, we'll have 2 or 3 presenters, but today we have one. We have Anna from the Disability Network of Washtenaw, Monroe, and Livingston County, and she'll be presenting on their agency's array of services. So Anna, if you want to go ahead.
Thank you. I think my office assistant is in the space. Courtney, are you able to pull up our slides, please?
Yes. Give me one
Thank
second.
you. Okay. So, we are from Disability Network, Washtenaw, Monroe, Livingston. We recently went through a rebranding process. So with that being said, none of our services have changed. We have simply made a name change to reflect the connection to the network of CILs that are doing the work across the state in our similar work. We are formally known as the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living. Courtney, I don't see my slides there.
Yeah, give me one second.
There we go.
Coming up.
Thanks everybody for your patience. You are seeing a recent photo of our staff team there on your first slide. I am the Independent Living Services Manager, so I oversee programs and services across our 3 county service area, and I direct a wide range of our staff in the services that they provide. Are we having issues here, Court? Sorry, everybody. There we go. All right. So there's my contact information. Next slide, please. All right, so all about us. Here we go. Like I said, we are formally known as the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living, but now known as Disability Network Washtenaw, Monroe, Livingston. We are an advocacy agency that has provided services and supports to people with disabilities since 1976. We are run by and for people with disabilities. Our mission is to empower the lives of people with disabilities and advocate for a more inclusive community for all. Who we serve. The counties we serve are Livingston, Monroe, and Washtenaw in Southeast Michigan. Disability Network is one of 15 disability network centers in Michigan. We are a part of a larger network of disability networks across Michigan, which can be found at disabilitynetworkmichigan.org. So that network of centers for independent living was really part of why we changed our name, so that people could really connect to the idea that we are one of those agencies that provide these core services. All right, next slide, please. All right, So here's a little bit about our percentages based on our U.S. census. Please take a look at that and let me know if you have any questions. I have difficulty kind of going through these numbers, but there's a little bit about our population and our how we serve those. So I'll just give you a second to digest that. All right. Next slide, please. So all CILs or disability networks have what we call core services. These are services that are of no charge to our consumer population and can be provided no matter what the disability type or disability experience. We provide information and referral, advocacy on a community and individual level. We provide independent living skill development. We provide peer support both on an individual level and within our very specific types of peer support groups. So peer support is one of the services that is really central to what we are all about. I'll just go into that first and foremost. Peer support happens in our service delivery. When somebody interacts with us, we provide services to that individual as people with disabilities. A high percentage of us within our organization identify as having disabilities, and that personal experience really does help to build rapport and support service delivery. So that happens naturally within those individual interactions that a consumer has with staff. And then it also happens in our groups. Consumers really connect with other people with disabilities around a specific peer support issue, and they realize that they're not alone in their disability experience. So we'll move on to the next slide, please. Oh yes, the other service area that I did not mention is transition. We provide support in the area of transition, supporting those with disabilities who have been moved into a nursing facility and maybe in there for too long for a whole host of reasons, and then suddenly they're to the point where they want to move out into the community, and there needs to be specialized support to facilitate that process. So that's one aspect of transition. The other aspect is our youth in transition. So really being a support to young adults as they transition from school to community life. We're really a bridge to help youth and families identify the supports that a youth may need to achieve their goals living independently and moving into that adulthood. All right, so how we can help, we offer a wide range of IL offerings. We have employment counseling. We provide support in the area of Social Security and DHS programs. We provide health insurance counseling and information on transportation options. We provide support with housing applications and shelter referrals, adaptive and accessible recreation. We provide that. We have a very robust art program. We make connections to other community resources, and we provide a loan closet for small, durable medical equipment and supplies. All right. So, and that list, you know, that is a pretty comprehensive list of what we provide, but there are additional things that come up as well. Okay, next slide, please. All right. Disability awareness and education. For businesses, we provide disability awareness trainings known as DATs. We educate organizations about the needs of customers, employees, and patients with disabilities. For schools, we have workshops that are targeted to fourth graders, and we teach schools and students about disability, diversity, and equity and inclusion. Our disability workshops really educate the fourth graders on what life is like for a person living with a disability. But those workshops are really different in the sense that they are designed to create a space for learning around different activities. There are different stations where different activities kind of give an idea of what a particular disability experience might look like. All right, next slide, please. Information and referral, which I think would really apply to your group here. Consumers contact us as part of our INR team on a whole host of areas. In the area of IL skill development, advocacy, and a whole host of community resources that you see there. All right. Next slide, please. All right. So here's a little bit about our independent living skill development. I first like to start this part of the conversation in that, you know, as a social worker, I can go into an appointment and give all the suggestions in the world about, you know, what might be helpful for an individual who I'm supporting. But our services are really designed around what the individual wants to achieve for maximizing their independence. So that person really shares with me what it is that they want to achieve, and we write it in their language, and it becomes their plan, and they are really driving how we carry out those services. So those skill development areas could include personal resource management, self-care, household management, organizational skills, and much more. Next slide, please. All right. Peer support. I mentioned that we provide a wide range of peer support groups. So you have on this slide, there are specific peer support groups that are mentioned. So they're all there, but they each meet a different set of needs, and so they're really disability specific to address that person's specific disability experience. So there's a list of what we provide right now, and then we also meet the needs of multiple disabilities within those groups. So I hope that gives a good picture of what that looks like in the area of peer support. Right. And I know I have some of my staff team on here, so if I'm missing anything and you want to chime in, please do. Okay. Next slide, please. All right. We provide some more group-based programs in the area of recreation, and we offer skill development in the area of independent living in a group setting as well. Some of the things that we offer in a recreation group include movie club, trivia, art. We offer both in person and virtually. We offer a fitness program virtually, and we have offered cooking classes both virtually, but now it's going to be offered in person starting this summer. We had to kind of make some adjustments due to COVID and shutting those things down briefly, but we're really, sorry, really excited about bringing those back. So there's a little bit about our group-based recreation programs. All right. We offer access to assistive technology and assistive technology use through our AT team. And there's a little bit about that there. Courtney, there's a lot of text on this particular slide. Would you mind reading what's there?
Yes, I just had to double check that I wasn't muted. Okay, so as part of our services, we are proud to offer our assistive technology program, providing technology to connect consumers to internet-based services. Our services include providing information about low-cost internet service in the local area, providing technical support for common tablet and internet-related issues, as well as connecting to training programs to help learn how to use tech.
Yes. Thank you, Courtney. All right. We talked about transition services a little bit ago, but here's a little bit more detail on each one of those areas. Really, that youth transition is ages 14 to 26, really transitioning from where you get a lot of support in the education system and then transitioning to community life. What does life look like after you're finished with K through 12? Then we have the returning citizens population, where we are providing appropriate community referrals and support to those who are entering back into the community after being in jail. And then we have the nursing facility and diversion, which I just talked about. Targeted services for those who have been institutionalized in a nursing facility and looking to reestablish a place to live in the community. Next slide, please. All right, so a big part of what we do is provide support in the area of advocacy. And we have a program called DCAL where you could connect your consumers to a disability community action lab. It's a group of people that come together and they learn about the technical pieces around advocacy and issues that are important to them, such as how to connect with their legislature, how to connect on issues that they're passionate about. It's really a space to come together on issues of importance. And then we have a policy and advocacy and legislative team that works together on specific legislative issues, and again connecting with the legislator. Like for example, our Pell team is working together right now to put together the talking points for our legislative day. So that's more of an internal team working on advocacy related work. All right, outreach. This is an example of outreach, but we are always looking for ways to connect with our community members and give more opportunity to share what we do. So we work with our community to bring awareness and encourage acceptance across of disability, diversity, equity, and full inclusion. As an example, we advocated for Washtenaw County streets to have curb cuts and accessible pedestrian signals, as an example. Next slide, please. Public access. So here are a couple of examples of how you can access us, and our physical offices are open by appointment. Our computer and accessible gym are open by appointment, and so on. Please call our office if we can be of any assistance to your consumers. Can I answer any specific questions? If you could just, if you could just announce yourself, because it's actually hard for me to see the hands. Thank you. Should have mentioned that before.
Looks like Cheryl Roberts, you've had your hand, so if you want to unmute yourself.
I did. I'm sorry. I didn't have my mic on. The question I have is for your like your youth transition.
Yes.
Is there a certain age that they have to be?
So I actually specialize in youth. That's a great question. I recommend starting the conversation around transition, what life is going to look like for that youth as early as possible. So an example of that would be as early as 14.
Okay.
Really starting to have that conversation of, what are the likes and dislikes of that individual? What are their hopes and dreams for the future? How can we utilize the school team and the IEP team to really think about what the options are for that individual? Does that help?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anna, there's a question in chat. If we could just maybe move the presentation back to the contact information page real quick.
Yes, thank you.
The last slide actually has the contact information. Yep.
Thank you. Right, does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Looks like Joyce has her head up.
Yes. I wanted to invite everyone. Every year, the Disability Network has a celebration of the Americans with Disabilities Act on or around July 26th, which is the anniversary date. And so this year it will be at our building at 3941 Research Park Drive in Ann Arbor. And it will probably be from 3 to 6 p.m., but stay tuned for more information. But just save the date, please, for July 26th for celebration of the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Joyce. I know your team has been working with some of our staff. Sorry about that. I know your team has been working with some of our staff for quite some time now, but I'm really happy that we were able to come here today and kind of give an update on what it is that we provide. Are there any more questions?
Could you talk a little about if you have any specific criteria for any of your programs? Do people need to have diagnoses, or are there any income requirements for any of your programs?
So great questions. So we don't turn anyone away on the basis of type of disability. What I would say is that we really look for the individual to report on what their disability looks like for them. So a specific diagnosis is very helpful to inform, what might be going on for that person. But we really look for that individual to report what that looks like. We don't we serve a wide range of disabilities, both visible and invisible. And so it could be a whole host of things. There's, I've had multiple clients, consumers who've had multiple disabilities that they're managing. And so it really depends on what things look like for that individual. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Yeah. And there are no income requirements for an individual to enter services. I spoke of our core services. So those 5 service areas that were highlighted in the presentation. Those are given to an individual regardless of type of disability, regardless of income. There are no charge to the individual again, but you will hear us sometimes talk about fee-based services, and oftentimes that we receive that fee from another organization. We receive those funding pieces from another organization, such as our contractors like Michigan Rehabilitation Services will pay for services for a particular consumer if they meet criteria. Are there any other questions?
Doesn't look like it, Anna.
Well, thank you so much. I was so happy to be here in this space with everyone. I hope this was helpful today, and I look forward to connecting with any of you here soon.
Thanks so much, Anna. We really appreciate the overview of the Disability Network.
Very welcome. Take care.
Thank you.